and welcome once again to Season 2 of Defeasible Reasoning with your humble host, Drew Rosima, as it's sometimes pronounced incorrectly, and Noah D. Smith, as always.
Yeah.
And some dude named Aaron. But you say Bregg or Bregg? I always want to say Bregg.
It's Bregg.
Bregg?
Bregg,
Okay.
like B-R-Egg.
B-R-Egg. All right, Aaron Bregg. CSM, what's a CSM?
So CSM, Certified Scrum Master.
Ooh, I got one of those.
Yeah.
And the Director of Professional Outreach at the Cloud Security Alliance in beautiful West Michigan.
Correct.
What's that all about?
As a Director of Professional Outreach, I reach out to like ISSA
Professionals.
and other professionals. Lately, it's been working to get vendors on board for the Cloud Security Alliance meetups.
Vendors on board. Do you mean making them pay for lunch?
Making them pay, yes, I know. It's kind of backwards. My current employer has policies that go the other way, where we can't accept anything, but this is kind of backwards. This is where I go out and round up money from vendors.
Gotcha. Let me know if you need to strike that from this, because your current employer is, let's just call them a major healthcare provider in the area, where you are lead information security analyst still. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you do the cybers like professionally.
I do the cybers professionally.
Gotcha, man. How'd you get into that line of work?
As luck would have it, we'll go back in time a little bit. To my childhood, where I grew up loving computers. We'll fast forward to about a little over 10 years ago. I got a chance to come to CC. I decided to leave the restaurant business.
And people can't see this, but you're basically 28, so this is your 18.
Yeah.
Leave the rest
Yes. Right when I graduated high school. Mm-hmm. The allure of Grand Rapids Community College just drew me in.
This is turning into an advertisement. I love it.
And I actually went here for web design and web development. I got a certificate, which you say don't exist anymore.
Yeah, those discussions are happening, but yeah, it's basically it should be like half of an associate's degree kind of level of work, 30 credit hours ish.
Yep.
A year, more or less.
Because I wanted to get in. I just have always loved computers and loved building web pages. So that turned into a job, actually building web pages. And then as luck would have it, I got contract work with a major insurance company in the area.
Not a major insurance company that's now part of a major healthcare company in the area?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. Okay.
Developing web pages, I actually was fortunate enough to do one of their first mobile websites, and that turned into a business analyst position. And as a business analyst, I met a gentleman named Abe Jones.
I know that guy.
You know that guy.
Have we managed to get that guy in the pod yet?
We probably should.
Abe, come.
And Abe, and actually even back then, Chris Payne.
Who I still hold the record for being the only information security professional, to my knowledge, to have choked Chris Payne out. So there's a story about him at martial arts school in there somewhere.
I'll come back for a part 2 on that one.
I should try and get Chris in when he comes for GurCon.
Yeah, actually, Chris is awesome.
Chris, join us.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Abe talked to me back in the day. They're like, you have a good way of being kind of business bilingual, as they call it, and you can speak both technology and business. They're like, we think you'd be a valuable asset. But at the time when Chris asked, I just didn't have quite enough experience in healthcare IT. Fast forward a couple years, and Mr. Jones reached out to me and said, hey, I got a consultant, like analyst position open. Would you be interested? Because you literally would be spending half your time explaining security to the business and working with the business, and the other half of your time like working with like security engineers and security architects. So that is my journey that brings me here today.
Gotcha. There wasn't a like transformative experience where you took a SANS class from an amazing instructor who just inspired you to the point where you were like, man.
Well, no, but I mean, in all seriousness, I was fortunate enough. The leadership at the time did a heavy investment in like the security training. So that's when Drew and I first met.
Them SANS classes ain't cheap, boys.
SANS classes are not cheap, but you do get what you pay for.
That's actually kind of a ringing endorsement.
I've had all kinds of training, and let me tell you, GSEC and cloud security are by far the best out there.
No doubt.
Not knocking CompTIA and stuff like that. CompTIA has come a long ways. Their cybersecurity analyst class actually is I would say comparable to like the GSEC or some of the cloud security stuff.
We're looking at that. We're looking at their Pentest Plus as maybe an option instead of the current certified ethical hacker classes we do now is sort of a more accessible for students.
Yeah.
CEH is great and all, but it's like sans kind of expensive.
Yeah.
Even the discounted student rates are a little...
We joked before recording about referencing a childhood experience that maybe brought you to where you are today, but we also talked about how you grew up in... Did you say Reed City?
Yeah, northern Michigan.
It's quite a bit different from here. So what?
How does a Reed City boy?
How does I wanted to avoid
find
that
himself in the big city?
I wanted to avoid that exact cliche and was desperately trying to think of a way to say it differently.
You can't. Honestly, you really can't. Yeah, because Reed City is pretty small, and it's even smaller than when I went to school. You guys are gonna laugh, and this is gonna date me a little bit, but there is a formative experience that got me into computers. The movie War Games.
Heck yeah, Matthew Broderick.
Came out back in the day.
1984.
Yeah. But I'm still 28.
Right.
But I'm still 28.
Well,
the movie War Games came out, and that kind of inspired me to get into computers a little bit. And I'm really going to date myself. I think for Christmas that year, my mom and dad saved up money to get the family a Commodore VIC-20. So
It's only
we are going way back.
Slightly older than the Commodore 64 that kind of really got me started.
Yeah, Commodore 64 is one that we grew into. But yeah, the War Games and programming and BASIC and getting into video games, and there were still arcades back then.
Right, exactly.
So believe it or not, even Little Reed City had like an arcade.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. And that just carried through until that time when you were able to come here and
basically
living the Stranger Things life.
The funny thing about Stranger Things is I can relate to a lot of
they've
that.
hit my wheelhouse pretty hard.
Riding the bikes, the walkie-talkies, speaking of like technology and security stuff, I had an old ham radio. Like it was like a hand-me-down, I think, from my dad's dad, but it was like the AM bands, the CB bands. Like when you look, it was a giant box, but it had pretty much any type of radio frequency. And I remember every once in a while, like on a clear day in the wintertime, at night, you could pick up stuff from a long ways away. So it kind of made me giggle to myself a little bit when, in Stranger Things, can we say Stranger Things?
Yeah. Like,
okay. We can't get in trouble for that, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you can even curse. So you basically, you took it up on the top of the hill and you talked to your girlfriend from nerd camp.
Well, at that time I was still scared of girls. So.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. Also, I'm not going to say anything about the monster.
Yeah.
But there's
let's talk about it. We're diverging a little bit though, but that's how got me into computers and video games and the whole cliche kind of nerd thing.
But your career trajectory kind of does demonstrate that there's like not one path into this whole cyber security business. I mean, you came at it from a pretty sideways angle. We had Sam on not too long ago.
Yep.
And her trajectory was like pretty straight. I went to computer science school and I got me some computer science degree and I went to work and I got into cyber.
That makes sense because Sam and I used to be on the same team, same department, and she is funny, but she is intense. She is strong-willed, driven,
and like came at it from the ground up. Like started in, I think, electrical engineering, talked about switches and NAND gates and all that good stuff, and then went up. Whereas it sounds like you came from the opposite side. Like I know how to speak with humans, not with computers.
Yeah,
and so
actually.
From there, you actually found yourself in cybersecurity. It's one of the things that I'm interested in. My PhD research is interdisciplinary, so I'm into it's not just one thing, people. It's a bunch of things, and these silos we erect, they're just not great.
No, they're not, and it actually ties in a lot in the current position, not just with the Cloud Security Alliance, but with my current employer, is that you could you can have a great budget. I mean, our healthcare system does a really good job of trying to balance security. I mean, we take it seriously. But you can spend all this money on technologies, and if you're not, getting to the end user and educating them on certain things or helping them understand it more, but the bad guys can just walk in the front door. So I think, the next 2 to 3 years, I really, really think that the security industry kind of has to pause for a minute and really look at, look introverted.
Should we just stare at our belly buttons for a minute?
Yeah.
Let me play no Israel here for a second. And break down for us what this Cloud Security Alliance business is. What's a CSA? We keep throwing that term, but I don't know.
Sorry, you know what? We didn't do the an acronym. I always get those.
It's an initialism because it doesn't make a word.
Okay.
So NASA is an acronym, but CIA is an.
Okay.
You want the pedantic.
Please tell us more if you can.
Wake back up, podcast guest. Aaron's going to talk.
It's been 10 years since I've been here at school, and I come here today, and I'm back in school learning about...
Let me get the education started.
So the Cloud Security Alliance is relatively new. We started the chapter up in January. Our president, Matt Nelson, works for Optiv, and, they approached me probably maybe November or December last year and said, hey, we've worked with you on a couple projects. You got a lot of business connections. We've seen you at the ISSA. So
Optiv does cyber and security and IT as a service. Is that right?
Yep. They're a VAR, value-added reseller.
That's an acronym.
Oh. See, VAR, I watch a lot of soccer, and in soccer in Europe right now, a lot of new technology about video review has just come in, and they call it video assistant referee. So when you say VAR, I instantly think of video assistant referee in European soccer. Probably a super douchey thing to say.
They've started having reviews now?
Yeah, no, ironically, Meganai is one of our teammates. He is a professional major league referee. Oh, no. So he does cybersecurity Monday through Friday.
Oh, really?
And on the weekend, he travels all over the U.S. roughing games.
NFL games or soccer?
Soccer.
No. Oh, wow. Yep. Okay.
So cool. He recently talked about how they get nervous a little bit because they're going to get reviewed.
The introduction of VAR for them.
We keep diverging.
But that's okay.
That's kind of how this works, man.
Back to Cloud Security Alliance.
And the ISSA, that's a group of local security people, right? Here.
Yeah. Who this gentleman right here is a board member of.
I think you threatened to quit and they would not accept your resignation. Is that true? I heard a rumor.
Yes. So I wasn't going to I was going to resign just because I felt like I wasn't putting enough effort into it. I'm a pretty passionate person.
I phoned that one in. No. Just kidding.
Well, no, I mean, I made the mistake because I don't know how to say no. I committed to both positions for both chapters, and there's literally only enough time in the day because I still, have a job.
Have to do your day job.
And still got to take care of my kids. So I did try and say, hey, I talked to Apple and said, hey, I'm just not giving you as much as you deserve. And Apple's like, no.
Good.
So
good, but yeah.
Apparently it's like the mob. You
can't get out. They pull you back in.
Once you're in the family, you can't leave. Or the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
So CSA, though, you were approached to...
Yeah. So the people that run Optiv, they said, you know what? You got some mad skills with talking to people and talking to information security. What do you think about this role where you can kind of help and bring the business in? And the professional outreach part is like trying to bring relevant vendors in the area because it's always a catch-22. There's a lot of money in cybersecurity right now. That may change in 10 years, but right now there's a lot of money and everybody kind of wants a piece of the pie, right? It's the American way. But not every vendor is created equal. And, I understand where they're coming from because, vendors are, it's a business. They're in it to make money. And obviously the people that they're selling it to, are in it to protect themselves. So the problem we have kind of right now is there's, small, medium, and large businesses. Obviously the big bucks for like the vendors and the VARs are in the large businesses. And I'm really trying to champion for like the small and medium-sized businesses, that can't afford the giant, enterprise level solutions. But it doesn't mean that their business isn't just as important, because, think about it, like a Microsoft and other companies started off like in garages, right? They, who knows what some of these small businesses. So the nice thing about the Cloud Security Alliance, especially in the West Michigan, is, West Michigan nice is a thing, whether we like it or not. And sometimes that's a good thing and a bad thing. But, sense of community is an important thing. And I mean, I am really fortunate enough to have my leadership let us take some time every month to do community involvement, because, the success of community is a big deal, not only to my employer, but the Cloud Security Alliance. So what we do is I try and help bring in vendors that the small and medium business can learn stuff from. Some of the solutions, they do user level licensing, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're a large or small business, you can still afford their solution. Some of the bigger ones, unfortunately, aren't like that. So it really is a blend of trying to balance, bring in your Herman Millers and your Myers and other people in there to learn new stuff, and the vendors have access to them. But it's also just as important that we have like the City of Muskegon, Grand Haven Power and Light, a lot of the local counties and businesses are really starting to take cybersecurity seriously, and that's fantastic. So, it's that balance of trying to get, the vendors to come in and educate small businesses, but yet you still want to expose, the vendors to people that they can make money from, right? Because without the vendors, there are no events.
There you go. That's why they don't want to talk to me. No purchasing authority. So the cloud part of this is interesting. So we always say that the cloud is just a computer in somebody else's data center. But the why cloud? Why now? And is that something that these little SMB, small medium businesses, need to be thinking about?
So this morning, my partner and I here, Megan, actually were in the Amazon Web Services, and I was showing her kind of around like some of the security technologies they have in place,
like the AWS console,
like
on a
the
computer.
AWS. Yeah,
I was gonna say, did you bring a bucket of water with you? Because you might catch fire.
You're not standing in Amazon.
No, I'm not standing in Amazon.
You were logged into the AWS console.
I was logged into the AWS console and just kind of showing her like why cloud is so big right now, because the scalability. I mean, if she wanted to start her own website, there's a $3.50 option for like a, this tiny little VM, and then you can scale it.
Too.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. It's freed up to 750 hours or something like that.
Some amount of data.
But she saw that you could scale it up to like monstrous, enterprise level stuff. And I think that's the excitement, right? Is the fact that a small business can start your company small. You can go with like Microsoft Azure or like a Amazon AWS and start
Google
a small
Cloud Compute.
Google Cloud Compute. Yep, let's be fair. And then scale it all the way up, so that as your business grows, you really can scale up with it. However, to your point, from a security point of view, it is still someone's computer in their data center. But what I'm finding that most of the mistakes that are being made with the cloud, and kind of why it's got a bad reputation, so to speak, it's more just around secure config.
Yeah, people can't check the box that says, don't let everybody on the planet into this AWS bucket, please.
Yeah. But I think in some levels, the cloud security or cloud service providers, the CSPs, really need to kind of take a step back and just say, maybe by default, let's shut everything off. Let's educate the people on how to turn stuff on. Because I think one of the problems lately, from the Microsoft point of view, is they have all these fantastic features they're building in, like Office 365, and they are just turned on by default. Because I mean,
who wouldn't want those wonderful features?
Yeah,
Why not?
I mean, in defense of Microsoft, they share everything, share everywhere. They're trying, they're business people too. They're trying to sell, right? They want everybody in the world to use Microsoft. However, let's be reasonable about certain things like, in Outlook by default, now you can share these files with Dropbox and, Box and Google Drive. Let's just turn that on automatically.
Let's let our employees exfiltrate all of it.
Where some of those, in my opinion, should be, some of the critical path stuff should just be turned off by default, and then educate them, because when you're a big enough company like a Microsoft or a Google or Amazon, you have the resources, you have the local account managers. I've worked with the local Microsoft account manager. She is, wonderful. They're not bad people. Just because they work for the giant companies doesn't mean they're
giant companies are just collections of people, evil people,
evil people. No, but she's great, and you partner with those people. So obviously, that's the allure of the cloud is you can scale up, and you can scale up quickly. You can scale it down.
You could have a little bitty idea that blows up, and the infrastructure is in place that you can grow it to giant sizes. In fact, I was talking to our programming club about, is it Lambda, the name of their serverless?
Yep. Serverless computing.
Yep. So don't even bother configuring that AWS instance. Right to this serverless interface, or the serverless interface, and then we'll worry about the server backend stuff for you. Just make your call to this API and do your thing. And if it needs to scale up to, Uber size, the infrastructure is in place to do that. It's super powerful, but they do that. And you got me thinking about AWS. And last time I played with AWS was to set up, I think it's cybercommand.ml. I was doing it for one of my, it sounds legit, doesn't it?
It does sound legit.
It's but it's like Malaysia, I think is the top level.
Oh, but it's close enough that people think MIL.
Yeah. So, but we...
Not that you condone hacking.
Well, I have to teach people.
Does MIL stand for something?
Sorry,
military, right?
Military. Yeah. Like
okay.
.gov is like,
yeah.
You have to jump through a million hoops to get the .gov, just like...
Helps to be in the government.
Helps to be in the government. And .mil is military.
Right, but one of the things we do, and I think we were doing this for our web server security classes, we were using all the free tools out there to see just exactly how convincing a website you could come up with. One of my students came up with a .ga, which is the country of Georgia, but made a fake site for a town in Georgia, so that like you could potentially think you were going to pay your taxes on this town name .ga website, because it sounds like Georgia, right?
Yeah.
But if I remember right, what got me thinking about that was when we stood that up, they've at least started doing that with the firewalls, right? So the network part of it for AWS instances is like you need to let things in, because when you turn them on, they're secured by default. So they're getting that message. I think they're getting there. Do you have a web presence for the Cloud Security Alliance, or your own personal LinkedIns or Twitters that you like to promote?
Yeah, we do. The Cloud Security West Michigan. It's nothing like putting me on the spot.
Well, we'll edit out the pause.
CSAWMI.org.
Okay, no, we won't edit that out. CSAWMI.org.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And you're Aaron Bregg on the LinkedIn's?
Yeah, and Aaron Bregg's.
Bregg's? I always want to say Bregg.
No, it's Bregg. Right. I was mocking you. Sorry.
Okay.
And what's nice is there's actually only one other Aaron Bregg in the world, and he is a distant cousin. Yeah.
Are you sure about
There's
that?
an Aaron Bregg in Canada who's doing really well. There's an Aaron Bregg in the United States.
It seems insane that you and one other person are literally the only Aaron Bregg.
Yeah?
I don't know why. It just seems crazy.
It's a big world.
It is.
4 billion people.
I haven't found any others,
Chinese,
and to my knowledge, my distant cousin hasn't either. So
there you go. Go. So if you want to steal his identity,
or you could steal mine.
What's more likely?
Whoever's doing better, right?
There
What's more likely? Yeah, I'll leave that one alone.
Who's the cybersecurity professional? Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for listening to yet another exciting edition of Defeasible Reasoning here at the Grand Rapids Community College Center for Media Studies on the 53rd floor of the Media Center.
53rd.
We'll talk to you guys later. It is.
All right.
Shut up. They don't know.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, anytime. Defeasible Reasoning is produced at the Epic Studios of Grand Rapids Community College Media Technologies Department. Epically executive produced by Noah D. Smith and hosted by me, Drew Rosen.